Hello, in this recording we'll look at the two options from this blog. Option one, where the planners enters recommendations for in each employee's pay frequency, and then we will start with option two, where planners in the comp module of SuccessFactors enter planning based on annualized values. So what is the difference between the two? I've prepared here two worksheets that have the two behaviors. So we'll start with option two, which is the leading practice that most customers adopt. And here we can see we have a column called current salary, where all of the employee salaries are annualized. And if we look at the merit column here, we can see that when a planner types 3%, it's a percent of the annualized salary. And this annualized salary, so this is possible thanks to the fact that the current salary, the local currency code column, and two other columns, the salary type and the units per year, are mapped directly to a pay component group. We'll look at it in Plan Setup Design worksheet in a second when we compare from the Admin Center the difference between the two. So that is the leading practice. This has an impact on publish back because we cannot publish back to pay component groups directly that are the source here for our data. We can only publish back directly to the recurring pay component. So we'll look also at what is the leading practice for publish back when doing this type of planning. So let's take a look now at the other way of doing planning, option one, where we can do the planning in each employee's base salary's frequency, which means that if we pull the same exact people for Allison Mahoney, we can see that now we have two more columns. The current salary that was mapped to the pay component group in the other setup is now called annualized salary. It's the same column, the standard column current salary. And now we have the current pay rate column, salary rate, and units per year that are all of them are blank, including the local currency code and the salary type and the units per year. We have no mapping defined in design worksheet for these columns to any pay component or pay component group, and the system knows which value to retrieve, because when we add design pay components and then we load values in these pay components on people's profiles, we can flag these pay components to be used for comp. So if an employee has a pay component on his or her profile that in its settings has used for comp equal either comp or both, then the system knows that this is the base salary of reference to do the planning. So we can see here Alexander, he's on a monthly salary in EC, and we'll look at that in a second. So that is what is being retrieved. And if we look at the merit, we can see that when we enter 3%, just like in the other example, now it's 3% of the monthly salary and not of the annualized salary. So that is the difference between the two types of planning. This one, in order to publish back at the end of the planning, it's really easy. All we have to do is sum the merit column or the other amounts from the different recommendation columns to the current pay rate and publish it to the pay component that the employee has on the profile. So now let's take a look from the Admin Center and what it looks like. So the option two, which is the annualized planning first, we'll see that every single column, each of these four columns is mapped directly to the pay component group in the profile. If we scroll down, we can see that current pay rate is hidden because in this particular case, it doesn't make sense to keep it. It will reflect always the value from current salary. And so here we have current salary is mapped to pay component group, base annual salary. We could define if we wanted sum. We don't have to, it will pick it up automatically. Local currency code is the same, pay component group. And there are two other columns that need to be mapped as well, the units per year. And at the very bottom, the salary type. ID. So these four must all be mapped to the same pay component group in order for this annualized planning to work. And then I also mentioned we would look at the way the publish back configuration is done. So this is the formula when using a pretty standard configuration where we use a lot of the standard columns. So we would use final salary. We would divide it by current salary divided by the custom current pay rate, where the current pay rate is a column that we map directly to compensation, and it retrieves the base salary that is flagged as used for compensation equal true in the profile of the employee. So that's how we know we use the best ratio to divide instead of doing final salary divided by 12 because it's an annualized. We divide the current salary, the annualized salary, by the current pay rate. And so that is the mapping here. And then let's take a look at the other one. So the other one is the same columns, the same 4 columns, but plus the current pay rate plus unit per year must be blank. They must all be blank in order for this to work. So current pay rate is now visible, as we saw in the demo, and it's not mapped to anything. There's no possibility actually to map it. Units per year is also blank. Annualized salary, which is the current salary, which we rename annualized salary, is blank. Local currency is blank. And then pay type is blank. And the reason it's working is because if we look at Alexander in this example, he has pay component 1002 in his profile, which is on a monthly. So effective today, he's got a monthly. So that's in the back end is tied to the number 12, 6,830. And so if we go to manage org, pay and job structure, and we go to pay components, and we search for his component 1002, we can see that the pay component has effective 1970, effective 1970, it has in its setting used for comp planning equal both. So a pay component must have used for comp planning equal both or comp in order to be retrieved in the frequency type of planning. That is mandatory. And an employee can only have one pay component on their profile that is flagged for use for comp planning equal either both or comp. There will be errors when trying to make data loads into the comp information portlet if there are multiple pay components that are trying to be that the administrator tries to load that have this setting. That's how the system knows which one to use because it can anybody can only have one that is has this setting. So everything else from this blog or from other blogs like Proration works the same way. Once you've picked a type of planning, it works the same way. So if we go to FT and Proration example, it's the same way. So once you choose a type of planning, everything that is in here applies for both types of planning. There's no difference between the two. Either you do proration based on dates or proration based on the percent that you load in a certain column, but the two work the same way. Thanks.